So we just listened to Amity Affliction's new album, Not Without My Ghosts. Now we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'll give you my thoughts, some track highlights and such. We'll go into a deeper discussion with my co-host Jordan over here. Come back around and give you our ratings for our on-the-spot first listen album review. So a little backstory for me with Amity Affliction. Amity Affliction is a band I never really got into. I've just had respect for because I know they've had a lot of deep lyrics and stuff. It's just their sound was just never my bag, really. I did do a review for their most recent album. I think it was 2020 when that album came out. They kind of did a bait and switch. They released the first couple tracks that were really heavy, and then the rest of the album was just kind of normal Amity Affliction stuff. And so I was kind of on it. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. So I was kind of iffy on this again because again the singles that they put out for this were actually incredible. I really liked the first song, "Show Me Your God," when that came out. I thought it was like mind-blowingly good. I was like 10 out of 10. This is fucking great. Super excited. And then the next one was like 9 out of 10. Really liked that one. The I See Dead People. And now that I have more backstory, better. So here we are at the album. And what did I think? I think this album was genuinely really fucking good. They kind of kept that energy from that "Show Me Your God." They put it right up front. It was the first song. And the following, pretty much all of the tracks had that same kind of energy. They all had very, lots of like very fast-paced beats like throughout the majority of the album. There were only a couple songs where it slowed down. Lots of like fucking blast beats and shit. It was very, very fast, lots of two-steps, lots of grooves, and everything. So they really didn't really let off of that energy once they hook you with that first song. Lots of really big epic moments. There's tons of synth layered out throughout the entire album. Even like some operatic kind of stuff. There's like piano, some like violin in there. I don't know if it's like the actual violin or synth violin, but doesn't matter. There's just all kind of like extra stuff on top of all of the normal instruments that they use and everything, and not even just instrumentation, but like vocally, I feel like this is even further than the stuff they did before. The screams sound a lot different. They sound a lot more aggressive, a lot more raw. Feel like there's even multiple people doing some screams in here too. I think the Clean guy does some screams as well. And so there's just lots of dynamics between a lot of the vocals and everything, especially on the last track. There's like they have a guest vocalist, Fem, and you've got her, and then the fucking screamer and the singer, and they're like all doing vocals all at the same time. Great fucking ending track. So, and again, that just speaks to the rest of the album because there's all kinds of dynamics throughout the rest of it as well. It's just a really huge sounding album. Let's see. We also read all the lyrics to it as well as we went through this album. It's all majority of the album is pretty much about death. I feel like a lot of it is mentioned about the one of the guests they have on one of their songs, the Louis Nux. I believe they sampled one of his songs because he passed away actually in 2021 probably, and it kind of hits, especially I didn't know that until I was like looking it up as we were listening to the song, and came up and showed that he passed away, and I was like, damn, okay, so he like already passed away, and they're mentioning him, and it's like it's a really big deal. So it makes all these lyrics feel a lot more genuine and a lot more close hitting, hits close to home. It's just very genuine song, very genuine album and lyric writing here. And I kind of compare it to, Don't Click Away, but the Devil Wears Prada album that came out. That album was very dark and depressing, and I didn't like it for that reason. It was a breakup album, basically. And this album just feels genuine. This is, it's dark, but it's also, there's bright moments in it, and they kind of counterbalance that and give a lot of deeper meaning to it. I appreciate that a whole lot. Also and like I was saying, the vocalist, even the screams kind of feel a little bit different. I kind of remind me of Mike Barr from Volumes, how he kind of has this screaming out of the side of his mouth kind of feel, which I really like. It's just kind of like a unique sound. The So the vocals just sound a lot more aggressive here and everything. If I had to give one negative for the album, for me, it's the third chorus thing. They really do push the third chorus on I think pretty much every song, except for like the last one, has a third chorus. You know, they go verse, chorus, breakdown, third chorus, and they don't really change up the third chorus too much, which I really prefer you do. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's, you know, it's whatever. They do change it on is a Death in the Setting Sun, the one with Comeback Kid. They do kind of change up that third chorus. They kind of bring that back, the breakdown that they just had, and mix it into the third chorus, so I kind of appreciate that. But again, I'm not really taking points away for it. It's one of those things where you kind of look at your watch, you're like, okay, third chorus again, gotcha. But it's also kind of the Amity Affliction's bag. That's just kind of what they kind of sound like. And the choruses are pretty good. The choruses are really catchy, and again, meaningful. So I that's literally the only, I have to put a negative. I can't just dick right here, and that's my negative. It's the third chorus thing. But am I going to take away a lot of points for it? No, I'm not really. So favorite tracks on here, like I said, Death in the Setting Sun, Show Me Your God, fucking great. God Voice, that one has this really interesting guitar riff, like right off the bat, caught my attention immediately. I really like that one. Not Without My Ghost, the last song. One of my favorite things in albums is when they close out an album with like a big ending, and they pulled it off here. You know, it's kind of like, has kind of an acoustic kind of vibe in the beginning, and then it builds up and this big explosion and lots of vocals and just perfect ending. So this album was just really fucking good, and I wasn't really expecting it. So fucking great job to Amity Affliction. So Jordan, what are you thinking?
I thought this was a great album. You know, the third chorus thing did take away a little bit for me, but it wasn't, you know, it's the rest of the music speaks enough to, you know, really, you know, make me appreciate everything else, and really kind of drowns that out for me, you know. A lot of these songs are like really, really big, but they also, without being, you know, too like modern and like bombastic, you know, there's not like 10,000 layers of like synth and stuff, and there's not like, you know, there's not like 10 different like vocal layers going on, but like it's very like sparingly used, and it's used in like a perfect way to kind of like just push the emotion a little bit more and kind of have that atmosphere, like adding like piano and stuff that they have over most of the songs, not all of them, but most of the album, it has that kind of in the background just to kind of add a little bit like more depth to the music, you know. It's kind of got like a reverb on it, Michael said, so it kind of gives it like a quality to like more of like a synth pad more than anything, to where it's kind of like just kind of padding out the overall, you know, roundness of the sound, you know. And it kind of contrasts with like the really high screams and like the very like clear, precise, clean singing, and like the very like punchy kind of like drums and like the riffs that they're playing. So it all kind of complements each other. Nothing really drowns anything out, and I think it all kind of just it perfectly kind of encapsulates the kind of like emotion in the sound. And whenever a band can kind of like match the emotion and the sound with the like kind of vibe and like sound of the album itself, it really kind of pushes that. And I think that's kind of what really helps this out. You know, if you took a lot of that away, I don't think it would kill any of the songs, but it definitely adds a lot more. And so whenever it is there, it really does help. And then whenever they do want to go a little bit heavier, they have a lot of the blast beats and like the heavier, you know, kind of like screams and breakdowns and stuff like that. But they don't really focus on that, and they don't really focus on the light moments either. It's kind of like a really nice mix of everything, you know. It's not like we're gonna compare it again to Devil Wears Prada. It's not like that, to where there's like two different types of songs, you know, and it's like either the heavy kind of song or it's just a, you know, it's just the same poppy song. This is kind of like just more of like an in between, and a mixture of the sound. And you know, we kind of gripe on bands that can't really mix the two together, but I feel like they really did. And I think having like the piano and stuff that helped, kind of contrast with like the screams and like the heavier moments. I also really liked the features on this. They were like really good. The Comeback Kid one, they used him throughout the song. They kind of had him. It was only like one line, kind of in the chorus whenever it would pop up. But then they had, halfway through, kind of like the typical feature thing where they had him come in and do like a breakdown. But then they had him come back at the end too. So they definitely really utilized that feature really well. And then they also did that, with Landon from Plot and You, which is one of my favorite vocalists, and I don't think he did any singing on it. It was all pretty much screams, and he even did his lows that, he doesn't really do on his own music anymore. Well, he does it like on his side project stuff, but not in the Plot and You anymore. So it's kind of nice to hear him bringing back some old Plot and You kind of sounding stuff. Especially during the breakdown, whenever he does the lows, because he does the lows, and then I think the two other vocalists from the actual band probably do like some screams in there, so it's very layered. And then they also do that, with the last song too. So I feel like they very smartly used the features, and they didn't really, just kind of like throw away. Sometimes a feature they only have like one or two lines. Like what was it? The one that Frankie did on something recently, and we were just like, oh well.
Well, and then there's the Acacia Strain when they had Courtney from Spirit Box, and they just had her sing some outro fucking background shit. That one pissed me off.
Yeah, that one too. So they really utilize their time and money on that, and so that's really good. And then you have their friend that they sampled on there, so that was really good. Again, if you took away the features, it wouldn't really take anything away. It just kind of adds more emotion, more just another layer on top of everything, which I think is really cool. Overall, like the production was really good. Songwriting is really good, other than relying on the third chorus. But here and there they do kind of switch up the third chorus. So can't really complain there whenever they do kind of change it up. So I think it was a really good, nice, balanced record. It just had that one little gripe with me with the third chorus, but it really wasn't as bad as a lot of other bands.
So what would you rate this?
I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It's really, really good. I think I could have used like maybe like another like soft song, like kind of interlude, not like a full song, but like an interlude or something to kind of break it up. Maybe like some like piano and violin or something, just to kind of break it up a little bit. Just because you're going from song to song, and there's not really any breaks. But I guess there's not really any filler either. So
yeah. So again, I agreeing with Jordan. Really only the one negative thing, and it's not like super negative. It's just no, I don't know. It's just the third chorus thing. That being said, I think with how much this surprised me, how deep the lyrics were and everything, how big, pretty much all of the songs, pretty much all of these songs have a really big kind of feel. It's very kind of grand kind of feeling, while still having like very like moment to moment focus. You know what I mean?
I also could have used like the kind of like on God Voice, how it had that kind of like standout riff. Maybe if there was like one or two more like standout like riffs,
True.
It's more just like song focused. It's not really riff focused, but maybe having one or two other cool kind of riffs, or like maybe like a solo or something, just kind of break it up, because the songs they do have their formula. Like it is a very good formula, but they do have their sound, and they kind of follow that. They don't really kind of break away from that too much.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, I could have used that too. I see that, because that riff like really was stand out. Like I was like, yeah, they really fucking riffing here. And I don't think they really ever had any moments like that. It was just more kind of like the whole. But I still, with all that said, I think I'm gonna surprise you. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. I think, you know, with just like I said, how much this surprised me. They kept that energy from that first single. They kept it from the first song. They held it. They didn't drop the ball really like at once. And so I think this was, you know, I think this album is definitely deserving of that. So 10 out of 10 for me. Great fucking job to Amity Affliction. 9 out of 10 for Jordan. Super high marks. So I guess I like the Amity Affliction now. Who would have guessed? So great job, guys.